Hi, my name is Joe, and my passion is basketball. Well, I've been playing basketball since I was, I think, 7, and I was playing with my brothers that was in grade school. What basketball means to me is everything. It's what makes me happy. It's what I love. It's family. Everything is connected to basketball around me. Everything revolves around basketball here. And I grew up in a country wherein basketball is revolving around it. So that's what basketball is to me. I remember I had this game. It was in the summer league of 2019, and most of our main guys of the team weren't there, so I had a lot of minutes, and I think I dropped about 30 points. And in that game, I also chipped in a ankle breaker and a reverse dunk. So yeah, that's one of the games I remember. This was during my college years, and we were up against one of the top teams of NCAA. So in that moment, I knew that basketball would work out for me because it was easy for me. I knew that if I just put in the work, I can make it big. Even though I said it was easy, it's of course because I put in the work. I train twice a day, 6 times a week, sometimes even 3 times a day, depending on the schedule and the extra work that you want to do, whether it's on the skills in the court or whether it's in the weight room. Back in October 2021, I encountered the worst injury that an athlete can ever have. I tore my ACL. It happened during the first training of my supposedly first pro team, and it was just fresh out of the pandemic, so most of us are out of shape and we gain a lot of weight. And as soon as we had the first training, just a couple of drills, I went for a two-hand dunk. So at the moment that I landed and I heard something snap, I knew that it wasn't normal because I've landed like that a couple of times, and just when I landed, I had this severe pain for like 10 seconds. And since I had an adrenaline, I had to stand up right away and try to walk it off. I had my PT from the team check it, and he told me that it was just gonna be like a bruise, something that can heal in like 1 or 2 weeks, and enlightened my feelings. So as soon as I got home, but I was still able to drive home, but as soon as I got home, the pain started to kick in, and as soon as I got home, my family carried me all the way to my room, and I knew that something really wasn't right, and it's something that that it's really different from those past minor injuries you have. So the next morning, my parents took me to the doctor, the best one in Asia. He said that I tore my ACL, full tear, and I was in complete shock. Like, I didn't know how to respond because I know that ACL is one of the worst injuries, and you take a lot of months for it to heal, and it doesn't and those months depends on you and like how much effort you put on your therapy, and that really changed everything. So as an athlete, when you hear that you have to go into a surgery, it's like the scariest thing that you can encounter because you don't know if you're gonna come back the same. Like you don't know if you're gonna even play the same or even run the same as you were before. So when I found out that I had to go surgery, my mindset was I wanted to get it over it right away, so that I can heal faster and get back faster. So all I could think of that whole week was waiting for the surgery to start. So during the surgery, I really didn't know how and what process it had to go. I just searched a video in YouTube of how ACL surgeries go, but of course I didn't even know if it was going to be the same way. During the surgery day, of course I was really afraid, because they're gonna have to cut my knee open. But thankfully that the surgery finished in 15 minutes and I was asleep the whole time. So when I woke up, it's just my knees were really heavy and I was on dextrose. So it was a relief that the surgery went well. But of course, I knew that the hard part was about to start. This is where your rehab, wherein an average it takes about 8 months to 1 year. That's depending on the person, and it differs for every person because it depends on how much time you put on rehab and how fast your body heals. And at this point, I didn't really want to rush anything. I just wanted to be consistent with everything I do and follow what the doctor tells me to do. So the first couple of months of rehab, I felt that things were going pretty well but slow because you're just learning how to walk again. It's like your knees were just born again. And at this point, I was just trying to keep myself motivated the whole time because, I used to jump really high and now I'm just barely walking. But, I just had the mindset where I had to trust in the work, trust in the people that was working with me, the rehab, the doctors. And eventually, 9 months really went by really quick because I was just busy every day, just going to rehab, going to the gym, and I'm thankful for that. So now, after my rehab, you have to take this test in order to be cleared, and I did it in 9 months, and I passed this jump test. So I'm just glad that I'm back now playing for a team, and the struggle that I have now is probably the fear of tearing my ACL again or like my other knee. So how do I cope up with this? If I do not cope up with this, like without thinking about the injury, the fear of getting it again, everything will change. Your game would change, the way you play would change, and your knee would get too much pressure on the other side. Because if you're thinking about tearing your bad knee again, most of the time you would be leaning onto your other knee, which would also give it, more stress and probably can result to another ACL. So the best way to do it is you really cannot be afraid. It's easy to say like not just don't be afraid of it, but what I do and how I cope up with it is before every time I train, I make sure that I warm up for 30 minutes, and I do like a couple of single leg jumps. And usually at the start there's a bit of pain, but once you warm up, the pain goes away. So once the pain goes away, I know that I'm ready and I'm back to normal, and boom, it's like I've never gotten injured in my life. So my goal now is that I have to leave everything that happened to me in the past, and of course learn from it, learn from the mistakes that I've done. And of course, right now, I just want to continue playing basketball. It doesn't matter where, I have to play basketball. I have to just keep playing basketball and do the best I can in every game, every team that I go to, and see how high I could go, and who knows where I might land in the future. It's everything that makes me happy, and I will never stop doing it.
How has your perception changed you in your professional career?
It really changed a lot, but in a good way. Like how a lot of people coming from an injury, they would obviously think that they wouldn't perform the same way, but this injury helped me mature my game a lot. It made me focus on the skills that I didn't really develop before, because before, as a guy who was like into dunking and athletic, I thought that it was just all about that. It made me develop the other skills that I wasn't really known for.
Yeah.
And so far, from the first months that I've come back, it has really helped me a lot and perform much better in the games, much better before the injury.